Here we are in our HTML file that we created just a couple lectures back for the Hello World first web page lecture. First thing we're going to do is change the folder name here on our desktop from HTML intro to just HTML, because we're going to want to make sure that to have all of our HTML files over the next little while in the HTML folder, because it would just keep things organized, and then we could reference these different HTML files rather than having a bunch of folders all over the place on our desktop or wherever else on our computer. Let's jump into learning the basic structure of HTML. Create a new file and call it basic_structure.html, and you can name HTML files whatever you want as long as you are using the proper naming conventions. So we have our index here, and now we have our basic structure. Now the basic structure of an HTML document looks like so. The first thing you want to code is your doc type, which looks like this. Very simple. This basically tells the browser that, hey, what you're about to render, what you're about to see or read is HTML. Now, for those of you who remember programming and developing websites before HTML5 was introduced, you'll remember that the doc type was quite hairy. It had a lot of parameters and attributes and so on and so forth. It was quite messy, and it was a lot to remember. In fact, I never remembered how to do it. I just copied and pasted it from previous HTML files, so I never actually committed it to memory. But this doc type, HTML5 doc type, is very easy, and it's impossible to forget. So that is the doc type. First thing you want to do. Second thing you want to do is code the HTML opening and closing tags. Now, if you're using brackets, you'll notice that the brackets automatically closes your HTML tags, which is cool because it speeds up your programming. But if you're a new programmer, that might not be good for you because you're not going to learn muscle memory for closing your tags. And if you happen to open up an editor on a different computer or somewhere at work or something like that, and you're not using brackets or kind of a cool editor like that, you're probably not going to have any muscle memory to close your tags, and that's bad. So I would suggest trying something like Text Wrangler or even Coda to try avoiding kind of the autocomplete. You might be able to turn it off here in brackets, but I tried looking around and I couldn't find it. But if you're okay with that, if you understand the repercussions of not learning muscle memory, then sure, go ahead, you continue using brackets. But remember that it's important to learn how to code from scratch first. Anyway, that's my boring lecture. Inside your HTML tags, you need to have a head tag. And you'll notice that it is tabbed in a little bit, and you don't have to do that. It will still render the HTML, but it is nice to have because it keeps everything organized. Inside your head tag, I'm going to tab in one and do the title tag. Below your head tag, outside of the closing head tag, you have the body tag. So there we go. That is the basic structure of an HTML document. You got your doc type, HTML tags, head tag within the HTML, title goes within head, and body is a sibling to the head tag. In the title, this is where you type in the title of the web page, and it shows up in the browser's tab or the top of the browser window. I'll show you. Let's say my first web page. And I'm going to save that, and I'm going to open that in my browser. So I'm going to open up my folder here, double click my basic structure.html, and here it is. You'll see up here in the tab, my first web page. Nothing is in the content yet, but that is the title. Now, if I were to go back to my editor and in the body tag, tab in one, and I'm going to add just some text saying, hello world, save, refresh, and there you go. We got hello world. Now, you might be wondering, this doesn't look any different from when I just created my index file here. It looks identical. So what's the point of doing all this mess, this HTML stuff, when I could just type stuff in and you're good to go? Well, you're not, because this is just rendering straight text, and you can't do any formatting and you can't do any HTML when you're not actually writing the basic structure. This allows us an infinite amount of possibility when it comes to coding HTML. So this is what you always need to do to start out. And if you're creating new HTML documents, what you could do is just save this file as a template and open up or duplicate that template when you're creating a new file, so you don't even have to worry about doing this stuff. Cool. Well, that is the basic structure of an HTML document. I'll see you in the next lecture.